Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouters Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouter on a Monday morning. That's right. He's here. It's in the contracts, but nothing to be grumpy about. Grumpy's here with the coffee. Great weekend overall. Matush is still out there. He joined us in the chat in the live watch along yesterday, saying he's having pizza around Napoli. So he's not going to be around until next week. Sounds like he's still roaming around Italy. I actually knew. I think he's coming back sometime this week, actually, but he'll be back with us next Monday. Serzi, Tony, Ryan, good morning to everybody. As you hop on, don't forget, hit that thumbs up, and then let's get these numbers rolling because I have to give an update. First of all, the good update TikTok is at 976 people. We're 24 people away from that long awaited John dance over there. So, but the bad news is, in terms of pace, we are kind of behind our pace. We have like a week to go over here. Like I said, the goal was to get to 1500 on the channel, and I'll give you guys the latest number and the update over here. It is, I think it's 1,468. So 32 people to go in 8 days over here. So that's tricky, but it can be done. If you go grab somebody by the ear and drag their butt over here, hopefully we'll get to reach the goal 1,500 on time. But great weekend overall. Obviously, we were talking about that with Kazi on Friday, right? When you start the morning, I mean, especially our time in the US over here, it's like the 6:30 game, and you have to wake up and yeah, I hate to complain because I know some of you guys have to get up at like 4:30 and 5:30 and stuff. But when you get up that early to watch that game, it ends up in a win, 3 points, just the way you like it. Then the rest of the weekend becomes so much nicer and easier and smoother, where you can just kick back and watch everybody else beat up on each other, kind of thing. So it was a great weekend in that sense, getting that win early. We'll talk about the win. We talked a bit about it in the post match with Z and Galley and Kazi. I don't know. I thought it was just fine. It is a derby. I think the fact that we conceded again and kind of made it a little bit riskier kind of irked everybody, which I don't, blame people for getting irked by that. So I'm slightly irked by that too. But man, 5-5, you look at the other scores, you can kind of see how tricky this league can be. And 5-5, 5 points clear from your nearest rival in 5 weeks is not too shabby, knowing also, most importantly, some of the fixtures, and this was like the derby too. So there's some like really tough games in there that we got points out of and big points out of. So have to be happy with what's going on overall. We did the live watch along with Edip as the rival bros. A few of you were in the chats yesterday as well. We did the live watch along for Arsenal and City. We'll talk a little bit about that. I want to get people's take on. I mean, I kind of knew the Arsenal fans will just lose their heads. Just if they lost, it would have been even more brutal and more enjoyable to watch. But it's, watching that game alone, you can kind of see, yeah, Arsenal stops themselves at times, for one. And City is not the same City. And they know they're not the same City, because I just cannot remember the last time City sat back that deep and just waited and defended. It was very anti-Pep. So, I mean, I guess kudos to them for sticking with it. But they were like almost Burnley-ish at one point, where they were just like inside the box, just kind of like randomly clearing it, not even trying to build it out or anything like that. So it was kind of like an interesting watch overall. I'll be honest, it wasn't the best game to watch. We had a good old time. Ozan, good morning. He was in there as well in the live chat. We had a good old time. A lot of great green lentil recipes being shared. But aside from that, really the game was not all that at all. Just because really, I don't put that on Arsenal. I put that more on City. City did not really come to play as much. They were more than happy with a point at the end. You could tell too. But why do I look 10 years younger? Because really, does the beard make it look? Because I, trimmed. I'm capable of keeping it to a certain length, so it just goes zoop, and then it just slowly comes back. So there's no, unfortunately, happy medium. Have not mastered the art of using that freaking stupid trimmer yet. Slowly but surely, we'll get there. This thing is fairly new, like only been like 4 or 5 years, so it hasn't been. I've been carrying it around for like 50 years, like the rest of my body that I can barely drag around now. So this is kind of like getting used to this over here. But yeah, what did you guys make of the weekends? That's obviously the United Chelsea game, which we were going to do a watch along for. Edip's schedule didn't line up, and I think that would have been a more fun watch along with the red cards and more action and stuff like that in that game. But Chelsea losing points. If you consider Spurs losing points, um, and obviously both Arsenal and City losing points while you win your Merseyside derby. I mean, you cannot ask for like a better scenario for this weekend, I think. I would have been more happier with City winning personally. I know like some in the chat were more like rooting for the draw and stuff like that, but I was more happy, would have been happier with the City win. But either way, I mean, it's a great scenario we just had this weekend in terms of like how everything unfolded. If you consider Chelsea and Spurs a threat at all, but which I don't know about Chelsea. Initially, it sounded like it, but I don't think so. And then you see why over and over again. I mean, this is like, if you think about it, actually, like it's been 5 games in, and Chelsea and City have lost points in 3 of them already. And I think Spurs now have lost points in 2 of them. So it's kind of like one of those deals where I guess they're already in the rear view mirror. I know it's a long season and all that kind of stuff. It's a marathon, not a sprint and all that kind of stuff. But still, I mean, you can kind of tell. Uh, good morning, Chris. Yes, they're a threat to young players' careers. I just don't understand that team. We were talking about it with Rival Bros, I think, last week when we were kind of like previewing the United game. Just when you think they're kind of putting it together, they just need 2 more pieces or something like that. They just sit and jump on that puzzle. Pieces go everywhere, and they're like, well, I guess we gotta go get like another 10 players. But you guys were almost there. I think like the lack of consistency, you can kind of tell. You can't just keep buying players. I know sometimes it feels like some of these teams are run like FIFA Ultimate Team. You can't just keep buying packs and get cards and just try to plug them along and make a team. You got to get some consistency. You see the struggles we're having by adding what, like 3-4 players to the starting 11. I mean, imagine Chelsea changing like 8 players every freaking season over here. So Ryan says Tottenham is more of a threat than Chelsea at the moment. I think so too, but they got their own problems too, right? I was going to look at let's look at the final standings now, but well, not final. I wish it was final standings, but current standings. Let's go with that. Current standings were, I mean, yeah, Spurs are third. Bournemouth is third. I mean, Bournemouth is fourth. Same points, 10 points again. The only, I mean, if you think about it, that's big by itself too. That was one of the games we freaking won. So Newcastle away, Merseyside derby, Arsenal. I mean, what else can you ask for in terms of fixtures? Burnley is the only one that looks like, on paper should have been the easier one. And it was quite tricky because going away, they're going to camp it. Palace game, I think Chris was saying, or somebody was saying in the comments earlier, or maybe it was Tony, that is going to be a tricky one. That's going to be pretty darn difficult. They have 9 points right now. They don't concede a whole lot. That's like kind of like the biggest thing. We concede a lot, that's for sure. I mean, you look at the standings on the teams on top, and we've conceded as much as obviously Bournemouth. That game was a high scoring game, but Chelsea, and then you look at Arsenal, it's only 2. Spurs have only conceded 3 goals, so having conceded more than Spurs is probably slightly worrying over there. I don't see him doing a slots for Frank. I don't think so either. You can argue that. I mean, we talked about this. I think it was like last year we were talking about with Kazi. I don't know if it was like on the Friday show or it was like a post match or something like that. But I do feel like they have like a really good squad overall. There are quite a few players. I don't think you can say this about a lot of teams, right? Like you look at the team and you say, that guy, I would like to have on my team, in my squad, even if it's not in the starting 11 and stuff like that. You can't say that about a lot of clubs. You can't say that about United, that's for sure. Chelsea, you can probably name like two or three because there'll be a lot of young talents in there, but there are not a lot of teams that you can basically go out and say that. So, um, I don't know. Is it really? Because I feel like anytime we go away to Palace, you'll have to get that confirmed, Chris. Because it feels like anytime we go away to Palace, it's always, maybe we don't lose, but it's always difficult. And I know sometimes, especially back in the day where we were going toe to toe with City. I say back in the day, it was like 3 years ago. But even draws felt like a loss. Maybe that's why it's in my head like, oh man, that's like a tough place to go to. But it will be if you win before the next two games for international break. Yeah. So what do we have? We have Chelsea as well, right? So we have Palace away, then Chelsea. I don't know. Chelsea game is tricky just because they can be dangerous. I don't know what the deal with Palmer was. Did anybody hear anything about Palmer, Chelsea? I forgot to look this morning. I didn't wake up thinking like, I wonder what happened to Palmer. But injury updates. Let's see, because that's the thing. When we watched, that was really weird, by the way. Like how many subs it took to get resettled after a red card. I find it odd that you rarely see a manager do two changes, and then he did the third one, taking Palmer out. But Palmer, we didn't know initially, but like I guess the Turkish broadcast had said like he was like injured and stuff like that. So like it is like because we were kind of like chatting as we were like watching along, and I did literally I was so tired from getting up in the morning and stuff, so I passed out the last 20-25 minutes of that game. But you would think more than likely, I mean, it's day by day is what they're saying right now, but I don't know if he's going to make our game, which could be a huge plus if Palmer is not out there, because really still everything kind of like goes for like through him. So either way, he would not be 100% even if he's in there. So yeah, I agree with Adam. I mean, if you win those two games, because I think we have right. Arsenal is going away to Newcastle, so that's huge by itself. This weekend, you can see them losing even more points, and if they do, and if you win, like make it like 7 points, 8 points, or something like that, I can definitely see Arsenal losing it. City is playing Burnley at home. Chelsea is playing Brighton at home. That's the upsets waiting to happen, by the way. Brentford United's, Palace Liverpool, Forest Sunderland, Spurs Wolves, Villa Fulham, Newcastle Arsenal, and then Everton West Ham on Monday. So, and how bad is West Ham, by the way? But yeah, Chelsea Brighton is a good game too. Actually, looking at that schedule over there, that's like a good. But Arsenal is the one probably that will lose points over that. We've lost 2 of the last 18 games against Palace, 3 draws. Man, that's crazy because it does feel like we've suffered a lot more going away to Palace. At least in my head, I don't know why. Maybe they were like wins, but difficult wins. But yeah, it's definitely not an easy place to go to, and it's a good team. I think the Palace's strength is the fact that it's a team that's been together for a while. They didn't make a lot of changes, and we couldn't snatch Gay out of them. So defense, like they defend well. They have like threats on the outside wings. I know they lost Eze, but they're like a very physical team that we like usually have trouble with in the center of the pitch, and then they have a lot of height, so they can kind of like load the balls into the box that we have sometimes like difficulty like clearing and defending. Because honestly, like if you look at it, this is the part that's annoying, right? Like it almost feels like when we're focused, like the Arsenal game, we're a lot better in those. But we lost one there in 2024. Before that, it was 2017. Really? Thanks, Chris. Yeah, it definitely feels like it's a lot more, but I'll take it. But it's going to be a different matchup either freaking way, I think, going away to Palace. But more importantly, first off, we have the game tomorrow against Southampton. And I think we're all in agreement. I mean, Slot pretty much already threw it out there in terms of like the people he will be resting anyway. But we are probably going to see a full rotation. I guess what I'll ask you guys is, Do you guys want like a full rotation? When I say full rotation, like, pretty much everybody who played this weekend is probably not going to play, kind of a thing. He didn't go out and say that. He didn't name a lot of the names. Probably half the team he named as like they will get a rest on Tuesday, kind of a thing. But I don't know, like it will be a lot of rotation. The only worry about that is it's going to be a lot of people who haven't played, you know, match speed in a while suddenly playing, and I think that sometimes can be bad. Chris says, I don't want one, we're gonna get one. I mean, I want rotation, I just don't want full rotation, if that makes sense. But I don't think he would. Leone, I mean, like Ozan says, that's probably somebody we're going to see. I don't know, like I'm guessing like Robertson on the left, probably, because I don't think he mentioned Konate. Did he mention Konate as one of the names he's not going to? I think we'll see Gomez out there. We will see Leone out there. We might say Frimpong on the right side, but I don't know if he plays up top on the right side. Depends on like if he wants to rest like a Ekitike or Isak and stuff like that. Chris says I'm still scarred by Flamengo, and that's the problem with like games like this. It can be very disconnected because you're throwing not only a whole squad that has never played together out there, you're playing, you're throwing players out there who have not played match speeds in quite some time. So it's kind of like a difficult adjustment. And you're playing a championship side who's going to be very physical. And I don't think at this round the VAR is still there. So there will be no VAR as well. Gomez, Leone, Frimpong, and Robo. Sounds about right. If you're gonna play, I don't know who you're gonna play up top. You're gonna play Rio on the left. You're probably gonna play Chiesa. Do you do an Ekitike and Isak, kind of like back and forth kind of a deal? I don't know. That's kind of interesting. I can see Isak playing this one and then Ekitike playing the weekends. Maybe if they do 60-30, like, Isak gets the 60 kind of a deal. I don't know if Dan's is out there to run outside and get some minutes. Especially if we have the lead to get out there. So, yes, Mamardashvili. Kerkez, Gomez. See, I don't think Kerkez goes. I think it's just Robertson. Because Kerkez played pretty much the whole game, didn't he? He was really good, by the way, this weekend. Like he played like a really, really good game. So for all the crap that we've given him, got to give him his credits. Gomez, Leone, Ando, Jones. Oh, I forget Bajcetic and Neone is in there too. That's kind of like an interesting one over there. I did not think about that one. In terms of Neone getting out there, but then you got to get Jones out there. You have to get Endo out there. He's still there, I think, right in the background, because he has not even made like 5-minute, 10-minute appearances. So you will have to get Endo out there. I think more than Bajcetic, you get like Neone out there would be my guess, but depends on who plays like the defender. So he says I would play Wirtz and Isak. Isak, I can see. I don't think he gets Wirtz out there, because while I get your point, Z, the flip side of that is if something happens to Wirtz in this game and you lose him for like 2 weeks or 4 weeks or something like that, when you look back, it would be like a really dumb decision to throw him against Southampton, a championship side who's going to go out there to basically not have you play. Dude, the sad thing is I think you almost have to. God, you guys have to watch now. I feel bad for the kid because I always talk shit about him, but God, yeah, he's not good. He's just not good. I feel bad. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I think there'll be like a lot of rotation. These games are like more interesting to watch in that sense. But I think that's partially because I don't know if I'm that. Look, I want to win every freaking trophy, but if there's one trophy that I'm like, meh, it'll probably be this one. But it's there for the taking, so I guess why not in that sense. But I don't know, like how much weight do you guys put? I mean, it's the fourth, right? I mean, we're going. I know people switch the Premier League and Champions League in terms of like 1-2, but then you throw FA Cup and then the EPL is like the stepchild on the bottom. So I don't know how much we care. Maybe that's why it's kind of like a easier watch. But I say this, but once it starts, I'll get back into my modes. Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I know like he just came back and I've seen him in like training videos and stuff like that, but I didn't know if he was like ready to go. So I think Neoni should definitely and will definitely get a look, I would think. And he could be the attacking one of that midfield. I mean, he could be the defending one too. Uh-oh. In enemy territory. So I'm assuming going by blue, how blue, like a royal blue or like a light blue. So we figure out what kind of an enemy we have here. Hey, welcome aboard, man. If it is the royal blue, what did you make of the game this weekend? If it's the light blue, what did you make of this game this weekend? Because either way, it didn't go well for anybody supporting blue this weekend. But yeah, it'd be interesting to find out the take. I know Arsenal fans are mad. I know that for a fact because you can see them online. There's a disappointment of and I hear this. I think the handbrake analogy, I saw it in like 15 different spots this weekend in terms of, oh, he's got to take the handbrakes off, like Arteta is slowing the team down and stuff. And it would be interesting, but to see what City fans actually think of that, because we were talking with my brother. We have not seen City play so, it's like vulnerable is probably not the right word, but like so like timid and afraid, and that it just was not them. A reddish devil and orange background. Really, you'll get along great with my brother. You should tune in tomorrow, noon central, where my brother will be there with rival bros, and we'll talk a little bit about both Liverpool and United over there. It'll be almost like a pre-match in some sense, because we're gonna go live at like noon central, and I think the game kicks off at like 2 central over there. Who are you guys playing in the EFL Cup? I'm just kidding. I just give a lot of shit to my brother. Farteta is a fraud. Yeah, I don't know, man. It feels like he is like playing it too safe. That was not a game. Look, and I kept telling this to my brother, the fact that we beat Everton early on in that weekend, I think it should have made Arsenal play more aggressive and say, we got to keep up. I mean, these are almost like the days where we're like, okay, they're not losing points, so we got to keep winning to keep pace. So for them to still approach it so timid at home, I mean, at home, if it was away, you can be like, hey, you know what? Wanted to stop first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then start going with like Eze and Saka coming in the second half. They were home. So they had the crowds, they had everything. They have a deep squad. I think it's in some ways, it's deeper than ours, and the ability to be able to rotate and stuff. We can argue call it in different positions back and forth and stuff, but for him to still kind of like approach that game in that sense, yeah, as an Arsenal fan, I would not like it. I wanted to see if City fans who are not used to watching their team play like that, how do they take that? Especially, I think they could swallow the pride and be like, hey, that was the only way we had to defend, if they walked out there with a win. But the fact that then you did not walk out there with a win and 3 points, you actually ended up losing points. So now you're 8 points behind Liverpool already 5 weeks in. I would love to know like how they kind of like took it, how Pep approached the game. I'm telling you, Pep Linders is always working wonders over there. Everybody's dropping like flies and injured and stuff too. So, yeah, I didn't understand what the hell was going on there. Like the dude like kept substituting. Like I've never seen so many. Usually, especially when it's a goalie, like you didn't have to change a huge thing tactical, right? The goalie. So you're taking one guy off. Usually sacrifice the attacking midfielder or something like that and drop the striker to almost like a false 9-ish or whatever, or get rid of a winger and go to 2 up top instead of 3 up top. I mean, usually it's a lot, especially since it happened so early, knowing you're going to have a tired team, to burn 2 of your subs that early. And then the Palmer injury happens, so he has to burn a third one. It was terrible. It was like the kid who keeps pressing pause on like making substitutions in FIFA. I was like, what are you doing over there? Yes, I heard a lot about this, by the way, from Arsenal fans. I did not notice because we were like yakking with my brother and laughing and stuff, probably. But apart about green lentils, Ozan was there. He knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, they did celebrate it. I don't know. Sometimes did nobody even like get the ball and go, or did you just celebrate it? I don't know. Yeah, I did not. I have to go back and pay attention, but I did hear a lot about this, Ozan, online from like Arsenal fans, kind of not liking the fact how they played, and then they kind of like salvage a point, but then celebrating that point like it's three or they accomplished something. Yeah, it was not taken well over there. Spent over at William has won the same as all around, double the time. Yeah, that's scary. Right? Actually, yeah, not the plates. Glasner even has a plate. I think Arteta has one more plate that he won. So they do have I mean, I definitely agree. We were talking about this, so I'll ask you guys, I guess. Arteta, if he does not win this year, would you guys, I mean, we want him to probably stick around, but I'm just saying in general, would you guys, if it was Liverpool, if you had a guy, if Klopp came and had this turnaround, right? I mean, not the same scenario, but pretty similar in terms of like what they took over and over time kind of like built something. Obviously, this is nowhere near the Arsenal team that he took over in terms of squad, in terms of like results and stuff like that. But I mean, this is what I was telling Edib yesterday too. I felt like Klopp along the way he was winning things, and then it's just kind of like you could see the progression, right? So it's a lot easier to kind of live with occasional mishaps or losses and stuff like that because you're like you see the trend. I don't know if is there a trend still for Arsenal because you would think like they went and then they're kind of like curving now. You gotta win something. You gotta win something significant, I think. But if it was Liverpool, would you guys fire Arteta if he was our manager based on what he has done? That's a tough one. I think it's a tough one because knowing the progress made, I don't know if you say, hey, go for it. Um, Going to dye my hair, but in a subtle change from whites. Probably not. Probably not. You might be able to get away with it. Just put a Lego head on and then go to the side. I watch. Yeah, I think. See, that's a good point. I think the styles make a difference, right? Because the style was exciting with Club. That's a good point. Even when we did not win. So you are you not entertained? At least you're entertained, I guess, if the in terms of like what you saw on the pitch. This is kind of like not a fun watch. And if you're not winning on top of it, it's a double whammy. So I get that. That's a good point. I think it was a bit easier to put up with like some of the ridiculous games we had early on in the Klopp era. I mean, even afterwards, really, like the 4-2, 3-3 and stuff like that. Some like crazy games out there. And I think it was probably a lot easier to take. But hey, even then, man, I mean, there's only so much to, like having fun watching your team and like play that style. If you're losing over and over and over again, that would have gotten old pretty darn fast because we've been through that era too. But it was definitely exciting. Just having Mignolet in goal is exciting by itself. But 2 out of the 3 red teams won against blue. One trophy. All the fans we have a chance to win the FA Cup. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I think that's fair. That's the only thing I think left, right? I mean, talking about that, like playing once a week as a United fan is a good and a bad at the same time. If you get the results, it's good. If you do not get the result, it's brutal because you got a whole week now before you play again. I think it's a bit easier to get over certain things when you have a poor result a weekend, and it's a bit easier to say, hey, we can hit, oh, I lost my train of thought midway over there, but it's a bit easier. It's a bit easier to say, hey, here we go again. And, like we play again in 2 days. Like, let's say we didn't get the result we wanted on Saturday. We're like, okay, we're looking at the Southampton game. And it's 2 days. You don't have like time to lick your wounds and worry about that because you got to get ready for the other one. I think psychologically it's sometimes better for teams. And if you're winning too, in some ways, because you want to keep that momentum going. Now United has to wait a week to kind of like go to the next one. So it's kind of like an odds ordeal. I know we say as fans, and we've done it as Liverpool fans too, raise your hands, when we get out of a cup, like especially if it's the EFL Cup and stuff. If something happened against Southampton, we would all be like, well, good. It's like less games now. We don't need all this game schedule and stuff like that. Like, right? Everybody does that. So, but the flip side of that is, yeah, you don't want a lot of games, but there's a certain tempo to it as well. And then you keep winning. Like, it's a lot easier to build momentum in that sense. It's nice we have more time to rest. And we will be the 19th. I mean, Onana. Good old Onana. Onana was playing in Turkey this weekend for Trabzon again. He's having a good old time over there. Yeah, I mean that's the good news, right? And while that is right, people, 11 likes. I think there was like 18 or 20 live at one point, so we should definitely have a lot more thumbs up. So if you're in, hit that thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Even if you're a United fan, Blue, you should be subscribing because then you can tune into Rival Bros. Because my brother is a United fan, so we do a show every Tuesday with us too. And we do talk a lot of United, but we talk a lot about like Premier League and stuff too. I think we probably spent way too much time on United, but it's fun to kind of like do that banter with him back and forth and stuff. He will be happy. And in Ozan's honor, he's bringing Keshkek, which, by the way, I looked online yesterday with actually Angie and I were looking at. Yeah, it looks gross. So let's see if he's going to like bring that really to the show, because I hope not, because it's a tough thing to look at. Let's go that way. It's not very appetizing to take a look at over there. Eze and Sesko are almost getting the same treatments. Yeah, Sheshko, I don't know. It's kind of like hard to tell. Look, it's very difficult to kind of like, would Sheshko do just as well as Ekitike if he came into this side? It's kind of like, like a weird ordeal to throw somebody onto that team where the midfield is not established and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's all about luck and situations and stuff like that, especially with these younger guys. I love Ekitika, by the way, and I think he's been like a perfect fit in that sense. Really good goal this weekend. I wish, and you can kind of see, by the way, a scorer's touch on there. He does not screw around much with the ball and he shoots it. I wish like Wirtz and some of these other guys will look at that and say, you don't have to have the perfect shooting mechanism and time and stuff like that to score a goal. Sometimes you just have to take the freaking shot over there when the opportunity is there and before that window closes. Because you go back and look at that goal, it's not the most perfect shot. It's not in terms of, his like mechanics or anything like that. It goes under him. It's not like, like to the top left corner and stuff, but it's a freaking goal because he doesn't dwell on it and he cracks the shot at it and it kind of like comes fast. And I wish we would do that more. Like Wirtz, instead of trying to dribble into the goal sometimes, I wish we would have, some of these guys would just take the shots, especially at this day and age where, you can bounce around like a pinball in there, hit a hand or whatever it might be. But it would have been really nice to see that from like some of the other players, because I think that's really our scoring problems. Look, both games, when I say both games, the Atletico Madrid game and these last two games that felt painful at the end. One of them is the 92nd winner. This one, it was just painful because, especially after last year's Everton away game, you almost were afraid the same thing would happen again. It was like kind of like awkward and like worrying to watch at the end. But in both games, we should have finished it off a lot earlier. We had so many chances when we were up. It could have been 3-1, 4-1, and done. And I think it's kind of hurting us in this sense where we're not able to rotate as much as we would like to. I think if you go up 3-1, 4-1, maybe you do take Gravenberg out and put Endo in there and get him like at least like 10 minutes rest, 15 minutes of rest and stuff. If you notice, that's the only probably downfall of all these games going to the wire and last minute goals and stuff. It's a lot of fun and win is a win, but it really hurts, and I think in the grand scheme of things where you're not able to get as much rest to people over there. At least Edip can take the banter and give it back as well. He tries to give it back, but he's more taking it, I would say. But yes, I mean, he's not a meathead kind of a fan. And I think, most, well, I don't want to say most, but I think United fans, I would think, well, I will say most, should know like where they're at, and they can't be that delusional. I don't think, like, you don't have a goalie, you don't have a midfield. I think some of those are like so freaking clear, like the kid playing in the street knows. So but I know what you mean. There are a lot of like meatheads who will kind of like argue any freaking like for clear open fact, but other only starts players if they are 6'3" and capable of heading a bus if it's locked into the box. um yeah, I think the favorites is he wants players who can defend. He's more worried about that. I think he feels like if we defend and win the ball, we have enough quality to get something. And this is what, while they have gotten away with it a lot last year with set pieces and stuff like that, if you took the set pieces away, that's a team that struggled to, break open most of the games, right? So I think like he likes players who have like good defensive qualities. So he wants to. That's why, like Marino and all these guys he's signing are more like defensive midfielders. Like their specialty is more defending than attacking. Like the Rice, yes, they can have a moment, right? They can play the through ball or by winning the ball. I think he's trying to do it more like the Klopp era, where we had a midfield where they were none of them were known for their creative aspects and attacking and stuff like that. But they could win the ball, they could get. But then you need the front three, like the front three we had, to be able to get away with that. If you're gonna have a midfield, and people complain about it all the time, right? The midfield does not contribute. Henderson doesn't score. Genie doesn't do this, and people bitched and moaned saying the midfield does not contribute. But I think the whole system was based on they do the hard work, they win the ball, you guys go over there and you go get them. And you have a trio with like Bobby, Mane, and Mo who could do that. So that works. But I think they just don't have that front three that they're trying to put together. I don't know. I love Saka. I think he's a great player, good kid. Eze is like a really good player, obviously. That ball he passed yesterday, that's a beauty. But I just don't know if Gyökeres is that guy, first of all. And they just don't have that front three to be able to get away with having such a defensive minded midfield. I think that's the biggest difference over there. If you're going to have your back four and you're going to put like 7 guys with more defending in their minds than attacking, you better have 3 guys over the up top that are like freaking nuts and can get you goals, which we did. And I don't think they just have that. Yeah, dude, what was that? Yes, I'm glad somebody brought that up. We were talking about live watching. Like, I'm like, what is he doing? Like, he's putting. So it was so weird to watch the end of that game. I know Arsenal had a bit of a momentum, so they were a bit more, but they were still so afraid to lose that game. And City was more than okay with coming back with a draw. Like the way they were just killing time, passing it around and stuff. They were more than happy with coming up with a draw. That is so weird to see from a City team. And it shows, I think, where they're at. This is exactly why I did not mind the City win out of that game, because I do not think they're that good. I do not think they can do as much in terms of, in the season. They have a lot of newer pieces too, but I look at that team. There's a lot of like aging pieces. Rory is not the back Rory. Reiner's a good player, but he's not. God, like that guy turns the ball over so easily sometimes and so needlessly. I only watched probably like 2 City games in full, but I can recall at least 6, 7 times where he just literally kicked it out of bounds, like for a throw in. Like they're not clicking. That guy thinks he's going there. He's coming here. Oh, I thought you were dropping. It's just like a lot of confusion still. But they will put it together. I have kind of like faith in Pep in that sense. Not our Pep, but the Pep, Guardiola in that sense. But I think they're already, 8 points behind. So that's not a good deal at all. Yes, there was a lot of ball. But yeah, that's another thing. Like I felt like that game was going to get, it felt like, especially with like Silva and stuff like that out there, it was going to get a lot more uglier, and it did not. But actually, speaking of Sterling, what do you guys make of the Chelsea ordeal, which they're gonna have a lot more of this? I think I saw it maybe like Friday or something like that. But in terms of them, I can't remember the other player's name, but like Sterling and the other dude have to practice at night. Like at 8 o'clock at night or whatever. Like they're not even with the U team. They don't practice with the regular team. They're just literally over there rotting away. The Sassy, that's the other play. Thank you. Um, that's freaking wrong, man. I have to say that's really freaking wrong. And I realize I'm sure a lot of it's had to do with wages, right? Because you can't find another team to do the wages. Yeah, at night with yeah, like Sterling is wearing like the minor trying to like run at the same time and like practicing. I don't know. It's Sterling. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. But at the same time, that's just freaking wrong. Like I say, I'm sure it has a lot to do with the wages, but that's what Chelsea agreed to. So being able to dump a player like that is a little freaking wrong. I understand that. And I get that. I honestly though, here is what really pissed me off more than anything else. If that's what you're doing, I get it. And Maresca can kind of say, Maresca could have said, hey, they're not part of the team, and we're trying to build a team. So, we don't want any outside distractions or like, their unhappiness coming into the fold or whatever it might be. He could have said that. For him to compare to his dad waking up in the morning and stuff, fuck you. That has nothing to do with that. Like, that's night and day. We're not talking about that. It's not like those guys are getting a lot and the guys who practice in the morning are working for like freaking lunch. I mean, everybody's getting a lot of money. This is professional football. And these guys, Sergi, have a limited time where they can do their job. It's not like they can be like, you know what, 3 more years of this, then I'll be like, yeah, you'll be dead for a footballer because your age is, I mean, especially Sterling is already up there. This is the end of your career. You're finishing your career as a player. And whether you like Sterling or not, I mean, the Sassy, I don't think probably everybody has like neutral feelings towards. I just don't like the fact that, you're basically rotting away your career at night practicing there. That's just not, I don't think it's fair. He would get 300. The point is he would get that money if he's playing or not. And if he trained or not, probably, I would guess, right? If you're not turning on the lights for the dude, he probably doesn't even have to train. So he could literally be home and getting that money. And I'm sure if they were willing to, this is basically Chelsea bullying their players. And that's not something that we should be okay with, because they're bullying the players to give up their wages that they fucking signed them to. This is how they can go sign all these guys. And there's going to be a lot more. They better freaking get a lot more of those headbands with the lights over there. He can freaking be there. They're going to have a lot of these guys who have like 7-year contracts, 8-year contracts that they can't get rid of. So in 2-3 years, there will be like 10 guys practicing at night over there because they're signing into these ridiculous wages for the length of time in the contract. And they're going to run into this issue. We had this issue with Ox where we could not get rid of him afterwards because he was more content just chilling and getting like the 150 a week or whatever he was getting at the time, as opposed to going to another team and getting less. So this is basically the club bullying the player to give up their wages that the club agreed to. And so that they say, okay, you know what, that's fine, we'll take 50,000 and I'll go to Bournemouth or whatever the hell they can go. But and it is okay, I mean, yeah, but the fact that it's reality is disgusting. You should be called out on. I mean, I think we're like basically this can happen. So I think because it's Sterling, it really skews the way we were looking at this, because it's almost like have funny imagining him running like a T-Rex in the dark. But I think I don't know. I feel like it's wrong, and I think it's the definition of bullying. This is how a club can bully a player. They're forcing him to do something that they don't want to do by giving them conditions that are not suitable. I guess PFA is involved and stuff like that, but I mean, they're probably just like throwing something out there that they're like, no, they're good. We're feeding him too. Look, there's a picture of a sandwich and stuff. I mean, I'm sure that nothing's going to come out of that. But the fact that I think this is going to happen a lot more to Chelsea, there's a catch with doing all these 7-year, 8-year contracts, because in 4 years, the guy's not going to be as good. He's still on these wages on your payroll, and you're going to have to bully. You can't send everybody to freaking Strasbourg. So you're going to have to bully some guys. So like I say, there's going to be 4 guys running there, 6 guys running there. Pretty soon they can probably put like a 5-a-side match out there with like guys who Chelsea don't want anymore. they're actually like, that's how this all came about, because I don't know if the players complain to them, and they're like, hey, what's going on over there? And like I say, it's one of those, I don't know if you've ever worked in a place where there's inspections. The inspections are always like the best side. They're like, no, they're good. Look, the lights are on. They're practicing. Grass is good. We're watering. They're happy. They got sandwiches and orange on the side. We're good, and that's what's probably going to happen out of that. But yeah, I think I'm more like annoyed because first of all, this is how Chelsea will get away with doing what they're doing. That's probably another side that bugs me. But I think it's just basically bullying a player, knowing they're a lot more easier to give up. This is like there's session of like a torture of a soccer player, because it's a lot easier for these guys to give up because their career time is limited. It's not something that you can like, that's fine, I'll just do this for 4 years. No, you can't. You're done. You're going to retire, especially like Sterling. I don't know how old the Disasi is. The Disasi is fairly young, isn't he? Let me look at that real quick. But let's see. He's 27. So yeah, it's almost there, right? If he's gonna be rotting away for a couple more years. So I don't know. I don't think it's just right on the guy. I felt like we were watching it with Angel, and like we were like really annoyed, because I think it's, like I say, definition of bullying. I can't find a better way to say it. So I forgot to ask Edip about this actually. So we'll probably talk a little bit about this, see what he thinks about this tomorrow as well. Why kids want sign for LFC? And I think that's the thing. You gotta do right by the player. I mean, sometimes we talk about, like, a lot of people talk about, oh, they should keep him, Dude, you gotta do right by the player. You gotta consider the player too. And I think, like, while that is right, I think what happens in the long run is it will be more rewarding in the sense that you will get players coming into your youth system saying, hey, they're either gonna play me and move me up, or they're not gonna stand in my way. I think that's what you want if you're sending your kids to its system. That's what you want. Do you want to send your kid to a system? And this is maybe why Chelsea lose a lot of people, a lot of players from their youth academies and stuff like that, where that's how they're treating their players. That's a huge tell. That's how they're treating their players. Look, guys, the guys practicing over there at night. You could be that one day. I mean, that's a huge thing of how you're like supporting your, like, basically taking care of your team. I've been watching Invincibles TV with my boy. Yeah, I mean, I watched a little bit late last night. And yeah, I mean, I kind of knew it would have been even more entertaining if they didn't get that equalizer, to be honest with you. So we got real from Chelsea because of their approach. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You want to create that environment, even if at times it's not fully beneficial to the club, because it is beneficial to the club in the long run to be able to do that to the players. I mean, I hated when we do this, where, we want the players to be loyal and all that kind of stuff to the club, but we're okay when clubs do whatever it is that they do and make the player look bad, and we only worry about it when we're involved, like the Isak ordeal and stuff. So I don't know. That really, the whole thing irked me. So when Chelsea got beat the next day, and I were like, serves them rights, because yeah, that's very douchey is the best way I can saw it. Yeah, I mean, that's, and there have been like others too. I mean, Solanke escaped from there, right? And obviously we kind of cashed in on that deal by giving the opportunity. He played. He was not good enough. Not that he was not good enough. I think he never fit that system. Obviously, he was not going to fit the system with Klopp. So, but what we get, like 30 for him or something like that, right? I mean, here's the thing: you gotta be able to do something where you do create an environment where youth players do want to come. And sometimes maybe you will take a loss, or you will have to give up on the guy a bit earlier and stuff. But it is what it is. Did Brewster come from Chelsea? I can't remember where Brewster came from, to be honest with you. I remember Brewster as the next Bobby and stuff like that. He's gonna fill in, and not the same way. Real, you may end up paying something for him. Really, I don't know how that works. I know maybe they're waiting until he's 18 or something like that for like the professional contract. I don't know what the deal with that is, but I mean, like I say, the main point is like you can kind of make it an environment that you can bring more youth players in, and you can make an environment where players are treated like shit. And I know money talks, right? But at the same time, you know, there'll still be, there are players still going to United, right? There are still players going to Chelsea because money talks. But they're doing all these deals and it's gonna fire back. And for him to use that freaking his dad analogy is the douchiest thing I've heard in a press conference in a long time. And I've seen Arteta press conferences and stuff. That's the douchiest thing to say, to compare. No, my dad had a tough life and stuff. What? Your dad has nothing to do with this, bro. Your dad was not a pro player. I mean, this whole, you know, like when we were talking about Diaz, people are like, oh, poor him, only getting 50,000. He's a professional player. I mean, if you were, you know, we want to get what we do in life, our fair value and stuff, right? I mean, that guy's a professional player playing professional for Colombia and stuff. He should have gotten more. People were like, I would do it for 50. I would do it for 52, but we're not professional players. He is worth more, so he should get more. I think there has to be a bit more of a understanding of what these guys do as careers and what we do as careers, and kind of like level things out. Just because the guy's making a lot of money doesn't mean he should be treated like crap, or like, oh well, sucks to be him and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like, especially when it's our players, I don't know how we go about saying that, because yeah, it doesn't sit well with me. I don't think you got to understand the grand scheme of things, and everybody does a different profession, and they have every profession has their own like pay scale and stuff like that. So Gravenberg was, yeah, I was actually telling Inge about that. Like, he was at one point like this up and coming, like, what do they call those, like golden boy or whatever, like nominees and stuff like that, like, you know, like possibilities and stuff. He was, yeah, he was not 35, was he? I thought he was on like 15 or something like that. Was he really 35? I thought he was like a really, really deal over there. I can't remember if it was 30. 35 seems high, because I thought there'd be a lot more expectation. When he came in, it was just more like, oh, let's see what happens. And honestly, like, didn't really fit well in the system. Slot has to get the credits, and I'm sure Gravenberg is giving Slot the credit, I hope, for kind of like finding the spot for him, molding him into, I mean, he was unreal. I know he kind of like wore down in the second half, and that's why he'll definitely won't be. He was 35. Yes, I thought like somebody coming with 35, like we would hear more expectations in the first season. It was kind of like a throw-in, it felt like at the time. But yeah, I mean, he was so good, man, and he is. I don't know if he's best midfielder in Europe. That's a big statement. That's a big discussion by itself that I don't want to get into, but he has been so freaking good. And I think what he can do, I think like Wolf was like comparing him to Bellingham and stuff, like what he can do on both sides is pretty darn impressive, like attacking and defending, and, you know, ball control, his technical ability and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, he's an all-around gem. Yes, I am the players' rights today. I don't know. Like, dude, I don't know. That bugs the hell out of me. I don't know why it does, but it does. But that'll be it for me this morning. We went all over the place again. Thanks for hopping in the chat. If you have not liked or subscribed, please do. I'll give you guys an update. While we were on, we got another TikTok follower over there. So, but while we were on, we got another follower on YouTube. I think it's our United friend, Blue. So, but yes, 31 to go. We got 7 days over here. Do me a favor, spread the words, send an invites, whatever it takes. And I'll see you guys tonight, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. Bickler, Galley, and myself. We'll probably delve into the game a lot more and not talk about player rights. But we'll see you guys then. Take care.